Hi everybody, welcome back to Chapter 1 Book Reviews, and today I'll be talking about A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. I'll be giving a summary of the play, I'll be talking about what I enjoy, I'll be answering a few common questions as well as my personal opinion on them, and also I'll be giving it a rating, of course. So the play basically is about Aegeus, who comes to Theseus, the Duke of Athens, requesting that his daughter be put to death unless she marries the man of his choice. Now his daughter Hermia is actually in love with a different man named Lysander, and she and Lysander plan to run away into the forest and go to Lysander's aunt's house in order to marry. They tell their plan to Helena, who is a close friend of Hermia, but Helena is actually in love with Demetrius, and she chooses to tell Demetrius of their plans in order to earn gratitude from him. Now, we are also introduced to a group of ordinary Athenians called the Mechanicals, who are planning to perform a play for Theseus and Hippolyta's wedding day. Now, among these actors, we have a very arrogant actor who thinks of himself as the best actor in all of Athens and wants to take over the director's job. We have the director, Peter Quince, and we have quite a few other characters who are shown to be nice, kind, and good-hearted, but also not very bright. We are also introduced to Oberon and Titania, the fairy king and queen, who are having a dispute because Oberon wants to have the changeling boy, who is a young Indian prince, and Titania claims that she has ownership over him because of her connection with his mother. Now, as the play goes on, all four of the lovers enter into the woods, which is basically the fairy world, and the fairy world has very different laws. For example, a mischievous sprite named Puck, who works for Oberon, likes to play tricks on people. Now, Oberon devises a scheme to steal the changeling boy from Titania, which is he orders Puck to find a flower in which one of Cupid's arrows struck and turn it into a love potion in order to make Titania fall in love with something disgusting and vile. And in addition to that, Oberon also overhears Demetrius having a confrontation with Helena and being extremely rude and cruel to her. So, because of that, he orders Puck to apply the love potion into Demetrius's eyes and make him fall in love with Helena.
Come, my queen, take hands with me. Now thou and I are new in amity.
However, Puck doesn't actually do this. Instead, he finds Lysander and Hermia resting in the forest and mistakenly applies the love potion into Lysander's eyes. And Helena, after her encounter with Demetrius, walks in the wood and finds Lysander. Not sure whether he's dead or not, she wakes him up. And guess what? Well, Lysander loves Helena now. In addition to that, Hermia now has a dream about a serpent eating out her heart, and Lysander watching and doing nothing, which is also foreshadowing for a confrontation in the climax of the play, which happens in Act 3. We'll talk about that later. Now, the Mechanicals are also performing their play, and Puck, thinking it would be hilarious, changes the arrogant actor Nick Bottom's head into that of an ass. And also, Oberon applies a love potion to Titania's eyes and commands and also wishes upon her to wake when something vile is near. And, well, all of the other actors flee from the forest thinking it must be haunted. While Nick Bottom, in an attempt to prove that the forest is not in fact haunted, starts singing. And guess what? His singing wakes up Titania, and Titania is now in love with Nick Bottom. And so while Titania is off doting over Nick Bottom and Lysander is off desperately chasing over Helena, you might wonder, what are the other two lovers doing? Well, Hermia and Demetrius have a confrontation in which Hermia begs Demetrius to let her know where is Lysander. And then Demetrius tells her, I don't know. And then Hermia accuses Demetrius of actually killing Lysander. Demetrius then denies her claims. Now, as Oberon and Puck slowly seem to sort of realize their mistake, Puck, in order to try and fix this, well, he applies the love potion into Demetrius's eyes. And Demetrius wakes up, sees Helena, and falls madly in love with Helena. So now you have two of the four lovers doting over one person, while poor Hermia, well, no one loves her. And while all of this is happening, all of the mechanicals are actually, well, they've sort of been convinced by Nick Bottom and they think he's a fantastic actor and they're complimenting him and grieving over, oh, why is Nick Bottom gone? And so while all of this is happening, Nick Bottom is accepting favors left and right from the fairies, which Titania control. And then after this happens, basically in the climax of the story in Act 3, Oberon and Puck finally realize their mistakes and they try and change it back. So in the final confrontation between Demetrius and Lysander, the two request to fight it out basically. However, Puck, not wanting this to happen, mimics their voices in the forest and makes them get lost, where he applies the love potion to Lysander's eyes and makes Lysander fall in love with Hermia. So basically everything is back to where it once was, except for the fact that Demetrius now loves Helena. And in the end, Oberon takes sympathy or takes pity on Titania, and he removes the love potion from her eyes. So Titania no longer loves Bottom. Now, this is very important because she said she thought this was all a dream. This is a very important point because we'll discuss it more later on how this is an example of a reference to the play's title. Anyway, basically, in the end of the play, Theseus and Hippolyta marry, and Theseus allows the four lovers to marry their loves. Demetrius loves Helena, Helena loves Demetrius, Lysander loves Hermia, and Hermia loves Lysander. And basically, we also sort of know that peace in the fairy kingdom has relatively resolved, and that in the end of the play, Oberon and Titania bless Theseus and Hippolyta's house together. The mechanicals also performed their play because Theseus took pity on them and did this kind of like as an act of kindness and charity, and he allowed them to perform their play. Hippolyta is reluctant at first, but eventually she starts to enjoy the play. And basically, in the end of the play, Puck says, if you enjoyed it, please clap. Talking to the audience, of course, and if you didn't enjoy it, just pretend it was a dream, which is also a possible reference to the play's title, A Midsummer Night's Dream. Now, let's talk about what I like about the play. I love a lot of things about the play, but if I had to choose a few, it would be the suspense for sure. And I'll talk more about how Shakespeare builds suspense and why I think it's such a brilliant way and such a captivating way that keeps readers hooked on wanting to see what's going to happen next. I also think that the plot was very interesting, and especially I think because part of the reason that this is such a great play to read for all audiences is it's actually in the form of mainly dialogue, and most of the play goes through dialogue similar as if you're watching a movie or something like that. It's all dialogue, contrary to some books where the author will describe everything. So it's definitely a captivating experience, and it makes you feel like you're there with the actors experiencing it, which I think is very interesting, but also expected because it was written to be a play. I also really enjoy the way of how they kind of they make a kind of a play on the play's title, if you understand what I mean, like A Midsummer Night's Dream, and also it's a reference to like the fairy world and the magical events happening there. And the last thing that I really do enjoy about the play is that I felt that this play was almost, the behavior of the characters was almost childish. Like, for example, Lysander says, I am just as worthy as Demetrius, and Hermia thinks like Lysander is such a great person while Demetrius is so terrible, even though they claim they are similar and they are both worthy, which is interesting because, and the behavior of them is almost like, for example, they slavishly devote themselves to their lover, even if the love is unrequited. And because of that, it allows for a lot of like, I would say the emotions in the play really change greatly, which is like, it always keeps you guessing and you don't actually know what's going to happen, because one moment they love this person, the next moment they hate this person and they love this person, which I thought was very interesting. Another thing that I would like to briefly touch on is it's what is the ultimate challenge for the lovers, because we know in order for generally for an audience to really care about a character, they need to be able to get over challenges. And to me, I feel like the ultimate challenge for the lovers was their social class. And I say this because in the beginning, Aegeus rejects Lysander's desire to marry Hermia because of his social class. And also, one could argue that Demetrius actually loves Hermia mainly because of her social class. And I feel like this was actually the main challenge that both of the challenge for Demetrius was to marry someone who was not his social class. That's what I felt, and which he did. He married Helena, who he loved in the end of the play. And Hermia and Lysander ended up getting married against Aegeus's wishes, which is also an example of how they overcame that hurdle. And so I felt like these were that was the main challenge for the lovers in the story. Some common questions about the play that I asked myself, and I also was asking, my classmates, because we read this for school. What is the meaning of this play itself, right? And in the end, I think that, I don't know if Shakespeare had the meaning in mind, but I felt like what I really took away was love makes people do crazy things. And this is reflected by Theseus, comparing lunatics to lovers, and also Nick Bottom's quote saying that, love and reason keep little company. And this is further reflected by how the love potion makes the lovers behave. And all in all, I think that's pretty interesting, and that was kind of what I got from the play and what really stood out to me. The next is, what is the meaning of the play's title? This is something that I found was really discussed in class, and I found it was very interesting trying to come up with it. And I think that, A Midsummer Night's Dream, it's a mix of a reference to the distortion between the blur of lines between, reality and fantasy, especially since they enter the woods, where if you see, outside of the woods in Athens, all the characters behave, somewhat rationally and such, but inside the woods, they are free to pursue their own desires, and they absolutely do so. And another reference is when all of them wake up. For example, when the four lovers wake up, and when Titania wakes up, and when Nick Bottom's head is changed back into that of a human, they all say, I either had a vision or a dream, which is a play on kind of like the title. It's A Midsummer Night's Dream for everybody. And I think that is mainly just like a mix of, the blur of lines between reality and fantasy, and also because their visions were that of a dream. The next is, what is your favorite scene of the play? So basically, my favorite scene of the play is Act 3, Scene 1, and that's because it's just before the climax of the story, and we already feel like there's going to be a climax happening, but we don't know what it is, which is really where all of the anticipation is, and all, when you're reading it, you're really thinking like, what's going to happen? How is this possibly going to be resolved? And basically, that's kind of what I felt was the most interesting scene for me, as just the final build-up. Which leads me to my next point, which is I really enjoyed how suspense was built. That was my favorite element of this play by far, because I felt that the way Shakespeare built suspense in this play was very interesting, and it was kind of like he let the audience know about something that the characters themselves didn't know about. And because of that, we always felt like, okay, like we know this, but they don't. How are they going to find out, and what are their reactions to finding out? What are they going to be? Which really kept you on your toes and kept you, guessing and different theories about the play. And I found that was very interesting. And also, as I said before, the dialogue format was very engaging. And it was really interesting because it allows you to see the shift in emotions, and, kind of like really, it kind of it laid bare some of the thoughts and emotions of the different characters in the play. So overall, I would give A Midsummer Night's Dream 4.9 out of 5. I really enjoyed this book. I feel like it would be enjoyable for all audiences to read because of the captivating plot and dialogue. And just in general, I really recommend you guys read this book. And if you liked it, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, well, as Puck said, pretend it was a dream. And as always, thank you for watching Chapter on Book Reviews.